There are 5 costs that new property developers often fail to include in their costings. Now, these are all part of our Find It course, and we include all of that information in there. And should you be interested in that, I'll tell you at the end of the video how you can note your interest for that course. But in this video, we're going to cover these 5 areas which are often left out of costings. Hi, my name is Jim J. Davidson and I'm a property developer. I first got involved in property in 1973 at the age of 16 when my brother and I purchased a flat in the student area of Edinburgh. My current company, Fineside Developments, was established in 2003 and we completed our first new build in 2006. This channel is really dedicated to providing you some of the things that I have learned along the way. I'm not an expert. I don't profess to know everything, but what I do know, I hope, will help you on your property journey. Now, the first one that we're going to talk about is planning. Now, you might be thinking most property developers or self-builders, for that matter, understand that if it hasn't already got planning in place, then they are going to achieve planning. And in fact, a lot of people will not be interested in a piece of ground unless it has planning. But there are 2 types of planning. So there is the outline planning and there's full or detailed planning. So outline planning simply says you have a piece of ground, and depending on the size of ground, you can build a house or you can build several houses. And so in principle, they might say, well, because of that piece of ground, we think that you can probably put 3-5 houses on that piece of ground, or maybe 1 house, or depending whatever the situation is. But it doesn't take into a lot of the other considerations that are involved in detailed planning. So in order to move to detailed planning, what you're going to have to do is submit some designs. And clearly these designs are going to have to be drawn up by either an architectural technician or an architect, and there's a cost involved in that. Then leading on from that, and this is what we're going to talk about in the second segment, is the costs that this inquiry or this planning application being submitted will add to the overall costs of your development. So when you put in a detailed planning application, the planners are going to look at the application in greater detail, and they're obviously going to consider the design implications. They're going to consider all the aspects to do that. However, what they're also going to look at is many other factors. So for instance, if it's in an area of where there's coal previously been mined there, they will ask for a coal report. Now that coal report, depending its complexity, will depend on how near it is to a coal stream. So if under your piece of ground the coal stream directly ran underneath there, they're going to want a much more detailed coal report to understand this coal stream, what's happened to it and how that's supported, because your house is going to be directly on top of that. Or if it was somewhere else, the coal stream, but it's still within the area in which they excavated, or how near it is, then they might require a lesser report. Flooding, as we all know, the big buzzword today is about global warming and all the different effects that has, and flooding areas. So they're going to want a report: is this area likely to be flooded within the next 200 years? So if it's near a river, they're going to ask for a flood report. If there are a ground contamination, so perhaps the piece of ground is formerly farmland or is existing farmland. Was that a sheep farm? And therefore with a sheep farm they go into a sheep dip, and the sheep dip contains arsenic. That spill of arsenic goes into So you've got the sheep dip and the arsenic spills into the ground. So you now have contamination in the ground. They would want to know what the extent of that contamination is, and therefore what remediation, in other words, how are you going to take care of this contamination? Are you going to dig out the soil, and how much of an area are you going to dig out? So there's lots of contingency factors that you need to think of, and in the plot checklist, which I'm going to show you a copy of here, we talk about the different things that you need to think of in terms of planning and in terms of investigating and looking at a piece of ground. Again, that's also included in the Find It course. Now, every planning authority have different regulations and bylaws. So, for instance, in one planning authority, you may have the situation where you are looking to build a house or a bunch of houses, and they're going to say, okay, there's going to be additional residents there, and the school, which is down the road, is going to service these houses. Well, therefore, is there enough capacity within that school to service these additional houses? And if there is not enough capacity, they may look for you to make a contribution towards perhaps expanding that school. So there could be contributions there. There could be contributions with if there's a new road going in. Because this will provide better access perhaps to this village, or it may be bypassing this village and therefore create a benefit to the householders because the values will go up because the traffic is now not running in front of around people's houses, or the congestion, so it improves the overall amenity of those houses, and so therefore they think it's fair that you should make a contribution to the road. And there's lots of other different things that they can attach to that. And the best way to try and assess what might be applicable in your local area is to have a look at the planning portals and see what information they've got listed there of the different policies that they have, and also to review existing planning applications to see what some of the things that are brought out in those applications that they are looking to add on and expect contributions that for you to make. Now, the fourth one is failing to take account of utility costs. So let's assume that you have what seems like a very easy location. Let's put the road here, and you're going to build a house right next to the road. Not perhaps on the road, but just near to the road. And so therefore, let's assume that, that this is an infill plot. In other words, if you look at the plot there, there's a plot next to it which already has a house sitting on it. And then there's another one down here, has also got a house sitting on it. Doing a great job of drawing these houses, you can see. And so this is the one that you are going to build there. So there's power in the area, and that's fine. Well, maybe there isn't. Maybe this is at capacity, and therefore to put this house in here, you're actually going to have to bring the power from the generating station or the next point, and you're going to have to bring this power over a field and then across a road so that you can connect to the power. Or maybe it is the water supply, and the water is again there's a sewer running along there, there's sewers across here, but perhaps it doesn't have capacity. It's less likely with perhaps one build, but it could be that this village or town or wherever it is, or this area, is at capacity. So not only might you be required to include the actual cost of bringing it there, if this is a new infrastructure, the water authority may actually make a contribution to this, but you are going to be bearing some of the cost, perhaps even creating this new infrastructure, whatever they may require there. So in terms of the utilities, there can be costs. Now, I think most developers and self-builders will already have put in an idea of what that value is, but failing to understand that these can actually get way out of control. I know of one particular single house development that, this is quite a number of years ago, that had to bring electricity across to their house. This is going back to 2007, and the cost of doing that was going to be 60,000 just to bring it across a field for a single house. And you can see how that would severely impact their budget. For a larger development, of course, the cost would have been perhaps far greater, because there may have been increased capacity that needed to be created. So the fifth one seems obvious, and it's landscaping. Now, let's just take our house here, or at least our piece of ground here. We have our house here, and we're thinking, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll just chuck a bit of grass seed down. We'll have a little bit maybe of a driveway, and we'll just put some chips down there because that's fairly cheap, and we'll be able to do this for a few £100, maybe £1,000, and that'll be done. Now, particularly if you're a self-build, you think, well, at some time I'll get round to this. But what often developers, newbies, fail to realize is that the landscaping will be a requirement of the completion certificate. And so while you can maybe play around with the soft if you are a self-builder, as a developer, obviously you're going to have to finish it. But for instance, in the area where I develop, we have a requirement to put in hard landscaping for disabled access. So if this is the driveway here, then we have to bring down some paving here, and we then have to bring the paving across here to the front door, and then that has to be, if there's a slope there, that gradient has to be incorporated in there, and depending on how far away, how much of a gradient that we have to achieve, the ratio we will have to bring out the landscaping as far as so that we can satisfy that gradient so as it's not too steep. And so this, it could all be stonework that needs to be created in order to create this disabled access, because the person getting out of the car here has to be able to get onto a firm surface if they have like a wheelchair, or even if they have difficulty walking, so as that they can make it to the front door and safely get inside. So landscaping can be quite a major cost, and it's something that you need to include in your costings. So all of these components plus much more is included in our Find It course. Now, I said at the beginning of the video I would tell you how you can register your interest if you are interested in that course. If you're on desktop, if you click the link that says I register for our app, then you will find on the sign up form there a tick box indicating, if you tick it, that you are interested in the Find It course. And if you're on any other medium, then go into the description box and you will find a link there. You will also find a link in the comments, and it's really just our web address, builditandprosper.com. If you go there, again, you will find it. You will find that sign up form, should I say, for the app, and the to note your interest in the Find It course. So if you found value in this video, please give us a like, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do that now. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I would really appreciate your support in that effort. And if you've got any comments, please put them in the comment section below, and I promise to respond to them. Then please have a look around at some of the other videos on this channel. Judging by the comments, people think that I am providing them with value, so please check them out. We're almost up to 60 videos now, so there's a lot of content, particularly if you're new to this channel. So please have a look around and like them, the videos that you like. And I look forward to speaking to you next week on the next video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos, then click to watch the next video. Please remember to visit our website at builditandprosper.com. Together app, or click on the button on the YouTube header if you're on desktop.